What happened to my facial hair? Um, okay, now for the real fun. Daniel has given his rebuttal, his first rebuttal, and now it's time for my first rebuttal. Um, Now, in Daniel's opening speech, he gave 5 concerns, 5 arguments, 5 claims that the concept of God is incoherent. So in my rebuttal, I'm just going to go through those 5 points in order. The first one, Daniel said, a mind with no physical parts, a mind with no physical part is impossible. Now, the fact that, well, let me put it this way. I don't see why a mind must have a physical part. The thinking of Daniel here, what he has in mind, may be a probability argument. All the minds that we are familiar with in our everyday lives have a physical material brain attached to them. Therefore, probably all minds have a physical brain attached to them, or have a physical part. But the problem with that probability argument is that it is a probability argument. Now, what Daniel is trying to do is not to show that it's highly improbable that God exists. What he's trying to show is that it's absolutely impossible that God exists, that it is, in fact, incoherent, the idea of God. So on this first point, he fails, I would think, to do that because the probability argument is just that, a probability argument. And he didn't put it quite that way in his opening speech, but maybe we'll talk more about that later. Yeah, so a mind with no physical part, it's not immediately obvious to me, or obvious after what Daniel has said, that that is impossible. So I think we're free to reject that premise, or that contention. The second contention, Daniel says, an omniscient mind is impossible. Now, what a mind is nothing more nor less than a mental substance. And what makes mental substances differ from non-mental substances is what we might call mentality. A knowledge of propositional truth is enough to count as mentality. God is said to know all propositional truths. I suppose the propositional content, not just the propositional truth value, but the omniscient, that would be the definition of omniscience. So since God knows truth values, since he has knowledge, that is enough to give him mentality, and he has all knowledge of propositional truths. Now, it is true, as Daniel points out, that we ordinarily expect minds to learn. A mind will learn things that it didn't already know, but that is because of an imperfection in the minds of our everyday experience. The only reason why we human beings can learn things is because we don't already know all things. That's an imperfection, a limitation. So what Daniel is doing in this second point is conflating necessary attributes of mentality with accidental attributes. He's confusing necessary with accidental. Probably a mind can learn, but if we're 99% sure that a mind must learn, we're 1% sure that a mind doesn't have to learn, that a mind may not have to learn because it already knows all things. So it's not enough to carry the burden of proof to say that it's probable that an omniscient mind is impossible. It's not enough for Daniel to prove his case to say that probably omniscient minds are not actual. He has to show that they're absolutely impossible, and he has not done that for the reasons I've just explained. The third point, Daniel says a timeless being acting is impossible. Well, I, for one, see no reason to suppose that an eternal being that it would be impossible for an eternal being to eternally decree in his sovereign omnipotence that certain effects would take place within time. So God could be outside of time, I would say, but have an eternal decree that certain things would happen with what we human beings in time experience at certain times. I was born 35 years ago. That was something caused by God because he eternally willed it to happen. Now, I think that we can see how this is possible, that God can have effects occurring within time when he is outside of time. We can see how that is possible by way of an analogy. Think of an author who writes a novel. Now, within the novel, there's going to be a time, a time where things happen, causes and effects within the novel. The author is outside of that time. He transcends that time. We could say that the author is, in a sense, eternal, because he's outside of the novel time. If the author writes something in the novel, a jealous lover kills a spouse, for example, if it's a murder mystery. The effect of the spouse dying is that the jealous lover killed them. So that is the intrinsic horizontal cause, intrinsic to the novel, cause of the effect. But there can also be, and there is also, an extrinsic vertical cause. The author wanted the story to develop that way. That's the cause, the eternal cause of the effect which is in time, of the murder victim getting killed. So in that way we see that a timeless being acting in time is possible. The fourth point that Daniel raises is, he says, being perfectly just and yet merciful is impossible. Well, to show that this is false, we only need to appeal to one counterexample. And this counterexample, we don't have to believe it. It doesn't have to be an actual thing. It could be just something that is merely possible. So if it's even possible to name a counterexample, whether that counterexample obtains or not, whether we believe it or not, whether it actually happened or not, just being possible, that's enough to show that mercy and justice are logically compatible. Now, the Christian story, the Christian belief is that Jesus Christ died on the cross for our sins. So when Jesus died on the, and again, whether this actually happened or not doesn't matter. It's clearly possible if we bracket out the hypostatic union, which Daniel had a problem with, and I'll get to that in a minute. But aside from hypostatic union considerations, it is certainly possible that Jesus Christ is real and he died on the cross for our sins. So when Jesus died on the cross, according to Christianity, the scales of justice were balanced, justice was served, sin was punished, wrongs were righted, and so on. Jesus bore the penalty for evil that human beings have done. So justice is perfectly met at the cross. At the same time that God's justice is being poured out and his wrath on sin, on Jesus, is being poured out, he's also pouring out mercy. We are receiving mercy because we are not getting what we deserve. If we are Christians, we have God's mercy applied to us, so we don't bear the penalty. Christ is bearing that in our place. So with respect to evil in the world, human evil, justice and mercy coexist in harmony. Finally, the hypostatic union. I would agree that the Bible does teach that Jesus is both human and divine. He's fully human. He's fully divine. It's not, 100% plus 100% equals 200%. Excuse me. It's the one Jesus is fully human. He's fully divine. Now, that seems remarkable, perhaps. Seems hard to believe, perhaps, implausible, maybe. But it is not impossible. Daniel, again, is conflating essential attributes with accidental attributes. There's necessary attributes, there's accidental attributes. Jesus has divine attributes, he has human attributes. We don't normally find those two together, but we can. If you're familiar with Aristotelian logic, then you've no doubt heard of the square of opposition. Now, on the square of opposition, you have A, E, I, O, and then there's various lines. On the square of opposition, it's a diagram illustrating Aristotelian logic. Two contradictory propositions cannot both be true at the same time and in the same respect. If they were both true, that would violate the law of non-contradiction, and that would be incoherent. But two subcontraries on the square of opposition can both be true. We may expect them to not be true. They're often not true. Perhaps even probably they are not both true at the same time and in the same relation. But they can be both true at the same time and in the same relation. That is what the divine attributes and the human attributes are. A human being is classically defined as a rational animal. Rationality and animality are what make human beings qua human beings. Angels are rational, but they don't have animality. Chickens have animality, but not rationality. So human beings alone are rational animals. Jesus certainly was a rational animal. He had those attributes to make him human, but he had more than that to make him divine. And again, divinity and humanity are subcontraries, not contradictories. If Daniel says that we're 99% sure that those wouldn't go together, we're 1% sure that they could go together. Therefore, again, Daniel has not met the burden of proof to show that definitely the hypostatic union is incoherent. So, as it stands, the resolution does not carry. He has not established his case. He has not met the burden of proof. The modal ontological argument stands. Thank you, and shalom.